There we go. Hello, can everyone hear me? You can't answer, so I'll just go ahead and take that as a virtual nod there. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Let me go ahead and make sure that I'm showing you the right screen that you would like to see today. Let me know what you see. Okay, is it not showing? All right, thank you. All right, so today, obviously, we are all here to basically kind of go through a few of the newer features. We've had a busy year here at IdeaScale in terms of, it was a really full roadmap last year of a lot of great new features that we were excited to bring to the table. And hopefully for those of you who are attending that are customers that are, I'm excited to be able to show you new ways that maybe you've also already tried implementing within your system, as well as those of you who are just taking a look around at some of the things that you can expect if you were to join us. But at any rate, let's go ahead and get started. The first one I wanted to talk to you about uh, was idea ownership. That kind of came into play with the fact that, just being able to have the opportunity to spread around the different capabilities and workload. Many hands make the workload light in terms of being able to make sure that the right person is taking a look at an idea that might come through and just be the perfect fit. So what we have done is been able to give the opportunity for idea ownership. So for example, let's go ahead and click into an idea. If there was an idea that came through, here we have an app that shows interesting sites close to you. If I, for some reason, wanted to be able to assign an owner, I've got the perfect person to kind of champion this effort, I would go ahead and, as a moderator or admin in the site, be able to assign ownership to another person or member within the community. So I would simply be able to click and assign owner here. A box would come up. I would be able to choose another member. In this case, John Smithy is who I think would be the perfect person to take on this. And then I would be able to then, assign an assignment message as well. For example, hey, John, please take a look and move this forward. All right, I can then submit that. He's going to be notified that he has been an assigned owner, as well as the fact that now, as you can see, the idea has been assigned to an individual. This also gave John Smithy moderation capabilities, even if he didn't have them in the other areas of the site. Now he has the ability to control this idea, make edits, be able to change it through to different stage gates, and so on and so forth. And this also identifies him kind of as the point person for any other members, that he is now kind of the champion and in charge of this particular idea. So this is a setting that can be set up from the back end. It's a configurable option to enable on your site. If you want to have idea ownership be a part, you would be able to enable that in the settings in the backside, and then you would have this capability to use it throughout. So that's one of the first ones that we have going. Second of all, wanted to go ahead, I'll pop into another one of our demo sites here. We have also, tagging is one of those things that, some people use very heavily as a way to filter their ideas and organize them. Others use it just more for, an opportunity, just kind of depends on how closely you want to monitor that or control that. So kind of as a result of some of the feedback that we had received from clients, what we decided to do was give the opportunity to have a predefined tag set. So before it was more just whatever the member wanted to submit or tag their idea with, which could have been, any number of things, not necessarily driving consistency in that tagging. It didn't allow for, if you wanted to search against tags, it actually made, there's the opportunity for it to get, quite large. Some people said, we really want to kind of lock that down a little bit more and be able to control the way we do some of the filtering in our own site and be able to organize it. We want to have that be a little bit more controlled by us. So what we enabled is the ability, if you want to have a predefined tag list that is kind of maybe corporate approved for your users to be able to select from. So essentially when they submit a new idea, as this is a familiar screen, your idea submission comes up, and then you are able to title your idea, put a description, pick your appropriate campaign. But whereas where you normally would just be able to put any number in any type of tag you wanted, if a predefined tag set is enabled, essentially that whole list that has been loaded into the system will show up, and then you can choose from it. And as you can see, it will actually, once the tags have been assigned, it gets smaller and they were removed from the list because they've been obviously added here. Then you have your driving consistency, because then they're only choosing from the ones that you guys have actually put out there. In addition, there's the opportunity, and one of the examples for that would be, for example, this is an airline, themed site. What you can now avoid is baggage versus luggage per se. Some people might be tagging things luggage, other people might be tagging things baggage, but in all essence, they actually belong under the same tag. So this just helps you kind of maybe drive a little bit more consistency about talking about the same thing, and allows you to kind of make sure that you're getting a comprehensive view of the ideas that are falling under a particular category. There's also another capability. This one isn't particularly enabled right now, but you can have a predefined tag set, and then you can also allow suggestions. So in the event that it's somewhat of a hybrid between the two. So then if a user was like, well, hey, this would be a great, I don't see the tag listed here, but this would be a great tag for my idea, there's actually an opportunity to put a suggestion there for a tag that would then go to the moderator, and have an opportunity to approve that and add that to the overall list as well. So that just kind of, we're doing our best to be able to make it as much of an opportunity to still hear the crowd and what they're having to say, but also put a little bit of a parameter around that. So that essentially would be an idea surrounding the predefined tag feature. In addition, moving right along, we have another great feature that I was pretty excited to see this year. And let me go ahead and go just back to my home page here. It has to do with custom fields. Now, custom fields, I think everyone is completely appreciative of, and I'm sure most people leverage them in one way or another. And essentially what that's doing is, upon idea submission, it's allowing you the opportunity to glean additional information from your users when they're submitting their ideas. And one of the things that was, they're usually global, so you can ask, any kind of questions. That's what they were before. And each user would be asked the same set of questions upon idea submission. However, one thing that was, kind of a way for us to be able to help you get what you're looking for at the time of submission, it helps streamline your processes, it helps get the information you're looking for at the time of submission, rather than, once they review the idea, they say, hey, we would have really liked to know this, since this is the idea, the area that they wanted to submit for. For example, campaign-specific custom fields would look something like, okay, if I'm here, I'm putting my idea title in, my description, and I choose that it's actually travel. If it has to do with travel, it's going to then, I have the ability now to, based on the decision that the member made, I have the ability to now ask specific questions surrounding, oh, you wanted travel. Therefore, I'm going to ask you, I want to know the type of travel you're thinking about. I want to, maybe ask additional questions that would have to do if my idea is about travel apps. This way, I can collect all of that on the onset. I can search against these things, but it actually makes it a little bit more applicable, and I don't need to ask everyone who submits an idea something about this, unless now I can actually drill down and actually only talk about the specifics as far as that goes. And as you can see, these can change. If I would have chosen driving apps, now you see that I'm asked a completely different set of questions that is much more directed towards an interest in driving apps. So these are going to be very helpful for you to be able to really get the information that you're looking for at the time of submission, and then you have a little bit more depth to your idea as you're assessing it and as it's moving forward. To kind of give you an example, for those of you that are actually users of the platform, I can go ahead and give you an example of how that would be set up from the back side. If I was in the back end here, you would be able to come to your custom fields, and you would be able to add a new custom field for these different areas. So for example, I wanted to be able to add a new custom field. I would simply put the label on the custom field that I'm looking for. For example, if it's for an app, code, language used, I would be able to select what kind of field type I wanted. Let's say it's a single line text box, and I wanted that to be applicable to travel apps. So then I would submit that. It would now add that as another custom field when I choose travel apps as my particular campaign that I'm submitting my idea to. It's going to require that to be asked. So you can pop back over to the home page here. And if I were to switch to travel apps, as you can see, boom, I'm able to see the next question that I'm asking for. So it's very easy to set up, and I'm able to get a lot more bang for my buck in terms of the idea submission process, moving things through. The next one is been live for quite a while, and this is also kind of in response to just the spirit of crowdsourcing and where people are going in terms of a collaborative atmosphere. And this has to do with team-based idea submission. Obviously, with a platform such as this, individuals are logged into the system and they submit new ideas, and it would be on behalf of themselves. However, obviously, if there's a team of people that had been tasked or had, basically put their heads together, which is what we're a big fan of here, is we all came up with the idea. Therefore, how do you go about making sure that the right people are, not only given credit for the idea conception phase, but you just want to be able to have all of those individuals be able to be identified as a contributor. Therefore, you'd be able to title your idea. So let's say I'm the champion, or I'm the one that's going to go ahead and use my login to submit the idea into the platform. It's going to come under me at first. I will be responsible for titling it, putting the description, choosing all the particulars about it. But this particular community has been enabled to allow contributors, which essentially then, as you can see here, you're going through and I want to add my team members. So I would be able to select my team members. There can be few or many as you're going through here. And choosing all of these folks to be able to be part of the contributors of the idea. I then complete the rest of the requirements of the idea submission, and then what's going to happen is those individuals are going to show up as contributors for the idea. They're also going to be treated as an author, and then any kind of management, or if there's, this idea moves forward, or if there's any incentives or anything attached to it, they understand that this wasn't just one person's idea. This was actually the intelligent property of several minds put together, and this just gives you the opportunity to be able to go ahead and see that. From the back end, it's very similar to setup, very easy. This is the name of the game. You're able to see in the workflow, you've got team-based here, and this is where you would be able to select if you want that option to be enabled, and part of the permissions that are allowed, you'd be able to simply click this on and off, and then it will allow you to have that field in the submission box when people are submitting a new idea. Then, one of my favorite, some of my favorite additions to the community this year have to do with assessments. And we have created a bit of a suite, both with the assessment tool and what we call our Pairwise Comparison feature. And essentially what this is an exercise. I'll go ahead and give you an example of what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and start with our Pairwise Comparison. And what this is basically an opportunity. As you can see, I'm flagged here. I've been invited to be a participant in a pairwise comparison. Essentially what this does is it gives you an opportunity to really pulse people for their feedback. If maybe you have several ideas that are trending quite well, they're all getting great votes, and they are all, you know, about the same, and you can, and management's really trying to figure out, okay, well, what is the next best move? This is just another exercise that you can put forth. You can design a pairwise comparison that essentially stacks ideas against one another, this or that. And so what would happen is it only allows you to choose one. I might set the pairwise comparison up to be against maybe 10, 12, as many ideas as you want, but it's only going to let me select one. So the question here is, what should we work on in Q2? Here are my two options in this particular exercise. In order to get through it, I have to choose one. I am obviously going to pick a phone that becomes apart like Legos, because that's what I need. And then I'm going to keep moving forward. And as you see, what it's going to do is it's going to continually stack these ideas against one another, back and forth, which is inevitably going to come up with what one did I pick the most often. And it's going to, you can invite several members to do this. You know, as many people as you want, whether it's management group or maybe you've already you know, got select groups from different departments. That's something that you can decide internally of who you want to take this exercise, and then you can see how it's stacked up against different people. And so what will happen is, you know, if you're like me, 5-star assessments are great, but I tend to say, yeah, that's great, it's 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. That might not be as great of an exercise as this one, where it's actually forcing me to make a decision very definitively one way or another of what I'd like to see. And so what I can do also is give you an example. Sorry for the jumping around, but I also want to show this from kind of the back side and a little bit what that looks like from an actual user or admin standpoint. So what you would be able to do is, as you see here, you come into your Pairwise under the assessment. If you want to create a new Pairwise, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of manage one that's been already done, so you can take you through what was done. You would be able to add a title. What would we work on in Q2? A little bit more description about it. You can also have it be a timed pairwise. So let's say you need your feedback in a specific period of time. You can set start, end, date, and times, and then the system will actually launch that and then take it down according to the times that you've set up. You're going to want to select your ideas. Which ideas do I want to be a part of this particular exercise? There's many different ways you can filter against that. You can filter by idea status. Maybe you want to do, you know, if this is your review process, you want to all of the ideas in review. You would be able to choose which ideas from their particular status that they're in at that point in time, which particular campaign you want to take these out of, and all of those search results, or you can just search for them by keyword, which will show up here. And you would simply be able to click add them in by clicking the plus button here, and then you've got them up there. Next, you'd be able to select your members. There's a couple different ways to do this as well. You can select them simply by email address. If you already have roles that have been input into the system, you might already have decision maker roles, or, you know, groups of individuals that you want to take this exercise. You would simply collect the role. They would assign them from here, and then you launch it. This would be, obviously, an example would be here. This is one I just started on right now, and I'm the only one who has taken it, I believe. And so as you can see here, this would be an example of the results that you might see. So here's all of the different ideas that were involved in this particular pairwise comparison. And as you can see, a phone that comes apart like Legos is definitely the front runner. Everyone wants it. And so this is just going to give you another way to really kind of, you know, see what's trending when push comes to shove. This is also exportable in Excel so that you can slice it and dice it, drill down even further. But this is just an example of one of the assessment features that we've rolled out this year. In addition, we also have the 5-star assessment, which has been extremely vital in kind of making some of those now what decisions as you see what's kind of trending in your community and you're listening to what your actual members are saying and voting things through and up and coming up with all of these great ideas. Now we have, okay, we need to do some further assessment. We need to really maybe stack these against some qualifying criteria. And since I'm here on the back side, I'll go ahead and take you through the setup of one right now. For example, here's a few assessments that are either have been run or are currently running in this particular community. Analyzing the ideas, let's go ahead and just manage this. I'll go ahead and show you how this setup. It's very similar to that of the Pairwise. We try and keep everything uniform so that you can learn the general way of setting things up once and then be able to kind of recreate that as you're going through. Title, description, if you want it to be timed, here you go. You can have assessment groups. If you've already predetermined some folks that would be assessors or people that you really want them, they've been identified, you could select a group to do so. Then you move on to your questions. And these questions are very important to think about. So these are going to be the criteria questions that are asked against every idea that you put in this assessment. So one idea, I'm going to be asking these 3 questions against each idea, and I'm going to be giving them a 5-star rating based on how I feel these questions stack up against that particular idea. You can have as few or as many as you like, but these particular ones, these are the 3 that are asked in this exercise. Next, you would select the ideas you want to be as part of this particular assessment, the ideas that you want those questions asked against, the ideas that you want this group of users to be able to take a closer look at. Very similar in searching for which ideas you want to put in. You can do by status, by campaign, singular, very similar as to Pairwise. You would add them, and then of course we go through the same exercise as before when you're looking at members. Same way, you would choose your members based on role, what have you, and then these are the individuals that this assessment is going to be pushed out to and that they are going to be asking to be a part of. So therefore, once you do this, you would enable it, and then it looks as a user, I would be notified that I have an assessment pending via email. In addition, I have this flag up here that basically indicates that there's actions pending for me. And it looks like I have 2 assessments pending. So obviously, here's the 2 that I've been asked to participate in. I can click into the one, and as you see, it's kind of it's all right here. As I'm looking at it, it's welcoming me to the assessment. It gives me kind of a welcome message as to what I'm expected to do, so it keeps it very clear, and I'm going to launch right into it. It's asking me to take a look at this idea, and it's going to ask me in a 5-star rating whether it's from strongly disagree, agree, to strongly agree on how I feel about it. If I like it, this I do think, I think it'll save us some money, and I think it'll definitely increase revenue, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not in development, so I can just say, I'm not quite sure, but it sounds expensive. Something like that. I would be able to then, have that be my comment that goes back to whoever is, in charge of this particular assessment. If I feel like I want a little bit more information, here's kind of a synopsis of the idea but I want more information. I want to see what's going on here. It gives a little bit more information on this. If there any, if there's attachments, okay, I wanted to see what they felt. And then I'd also like to review the comment thread. What does everyone else think about this idea? It will help me kind of come up with a decision on that. So this is just the way that I can definitely get a full display of what I'm looking for, and then of course then I move on to the next one, and I'm going to do that over again, but now I'm going to be taking this into consideration. So this is a way that you can obviously pulse your people within the tool. This is going to cut down on meetings, which I think we all would like to see happen. And you're going to be able to identify areas. Maybe development thinks that this is like the worst idea in the world, and they're going to give everything strongly disagree. But marketing is just like, woo, it's the best. This is going to identify those particular items, and you're going to be able to see the members, how they reviewed it, see where your major rubs are, and then you'll know where to focus your time in trying to smooth those things out. So that just is an example of the assessment tool, which I think was a huge win for IdeaScale in terms of giving this to our customers, this, and helping you guys be able to carry some of those ideas to fruition in a much more thoughtful way. Last but not least, of one of the things that I was going to go ahead and point out to you guys for last year's rollout of all these great features is something I think is really cool. It falls under, in addition, our workflow suite, and it's the automation builder. All of us are always looking for automation and somebody else to kind of help us out with doing new things, and our system is really powerful, and it has the ability to really do some of the heavy lifting for you in a lot of ways. The ability to create a workflow rule is key, and this is something that we continue, now that the infrastructure is here, we can continue to build on. So always let us know if there's new, things that you'd love to see happen, from an automated standpoint. We'd love to hear it. But to kind of give you an example of some of the things that we currently can do or have the system do for you, you would be able to create a workflow rule. You can give it a name. Let's say that in your organization, you've decided that, if an idea comes through, and here's several different criteria points. It can have a vote threshold, if a comment count gets to a certain level, if you've assigned it to an owner, those types of things. This is the, for example, vote thresholds. If an idea has a vote threshold of, let's say, 25, meaning 25 members have voted this idea up, they really like it, you might not have even reviewed it yet, but what you do know is that if 25 of your members are favoring this idea, you want someone to take a look at that. You want that to go into review. That deserves, some sort of a second glance or a management view. Therefore, you can put that you want those, if we have a vote threshold of 25, I want to change that status from, let's say it's active, I want to change that to, whatever status it's in, I want to make sure that it gets to in review. And so what will happen is if you enable this rule, anything in the site that gets to that level, or if any of these criteria that are provided here, it will automatically do that for you. So that really reduces any kind of action or requirement against your moderators or admins. It takes that out of their bucket of things that they have to manually do themselves. So we're always just trying to help our moderators out. We realize that having a tidy site that is active and moving things through is a much more healthy site, and therefore we're trying to do our best to give you tools in order to see that happens. So for that kind of sums up some of the things that we have already launched in 2013. That was definitely on our roadmap, and I also wanted to take the opportunity, with a little bit of, but wait, there's more, to introduce you to some of the roadmap items that we have for 2014. 2013 was a really great year for development, but we are not slowing down even just one little bit when it comes to what we're hoping to do and provide as options for IdeaScale offerings in 2014. One of the fun things that actually, I think it actually rolled out here in the last day or two. It is in a beta stage, but it is, let me see if I can go ahead and pull this up for you. Let me know. I believe we see this. This is an example. This currently is a mock-up, but what's pretty exciting about this is the fact that we now have the ability to build real-time infographics. You can pick and choose the kind of information that's going to show up on them. They can be campaign specific, meaning it can drill into a specific campaign to kind of just pull the particulars you want out of a certain area, or it can actually be community-wide as well. And what it's going to do is it's going to give a really nice graphical presentation and overview. We're always looking to give you ways to make you guys look great. And so this is going to be for those of you who are maybe champions or admins of the site, and you have your boss asking you, hey, what's been going on over in our IdeaScale site? What are people saying? This is going to be a great way for you to quickly build a very real-time report that is going to basically be giving you all of the information and a great synopsis of the activity in the site without having to do massive downloads or any other kind of slicing and dicing of the data. So we're pretty excited to give this opportunity to you guys. We'll keep you posted. Some of you might be able to find it soon on the back end, but this is, like I said, this is an example of the mock-up and that it's being created against. And as you can see, there's lots of really cool information that can be pulled. You can pick and choose what you want it to see, and then obviously be able to push this out to your members as well if you wanted that to be the case, just to kind of give them a cool view of what's been going on. And then, of course, we are not wanting to be outdone by ourselves. And so what the next thing that we have coming on, let me see if I can do this properly. Let me see if this will actually play. Can you see? What do you see there? Okay, excellent. It actually worked. So we are actually also coming up with a brand new product. This is something that's kind of in and of itself. It's obviously going to partner well with IdeaScale, but we realized that, you know, after hearing feedback from our clients, and some of them are really, and it's a very exciting thing to be a part of, meaning they're using IdeaScale to come up with, you know, some really huge opportunities within their own organization, whether it's coming up with new products or, you know, really making, using IdeaScale as the hub of coming up with what their next big thing is. And anytime that's the case, when you're talking about, you know, a significant amount of investment, whether it's on resources or capital, you're going to want to really be able to, you know, we wanted to give these people the opportunity to really break it down and really kind of take a closer look at ROI, taking more factors that are going to be, you know, obviously very important to their business. So Review Scale was kind of born out of that need. And this is just a kind of overview of what this is going to look like. This is going to be something that kind of sits, that you can get on in more of, once you've like collected a lot of your ideas and things that have maybe fared well in your initial assessment phases, and now it's really where the rubber meets the road in terms of how are we going to do this? Are we going to put the money and capital behind this huge? This could be millions of dollars. It could be not even that much. But regardless, it's very important to your organization to understand, is the ROI there? What is the feasibility on this product? And so therefore, coming up with a product that helps you kind of define these different vectors, whether they're having to do with value or cost. And in many cases, you have the ability to have subject matter experts that you're bringing in to look at these things very carefully, because it definitely matters. So this is kind of, I mean, we use the word decision matrix. We're still trying, you know, we're using any word right now to be able to really get you to understand. But decision matrix kind of does sum it up in the fact that you have all of these different individuals that have their areas of expertise that you can now lean on in very specific ways, with having them weigh in on the value of a particular idea. In all of these different ways, you can slice out the specific items of value that are important to your business and the core of your objectives, as well as cost analysis. That's a little bit more deep, meaning, yeah, it might be a great idea, but is it feasible? Does it cost too much? In addition, there's also the ability to take into consideration constraints. It might be a fantastic idea, but it goes against everything, you know, legally. You can't do it. It's just not going to work with some of the other legal expectations you have within your organization. All of these things can now be taken into view. The tool can help determine all of these things, collect all of this essential feedback from all of the different areas, and then where the real magic happens is the ability to then, once you've collected all your subject matter data, then you have the ability to make decisions based on that by weighting them according to the goals and objectives that have been set forth in your organization. This is something that can be done behind the scenes. You guys, you know, once management collects all this information, they can then start assessing different weights for all of these different values. And then the system, as you can see, and that's what's going to be here with this particular idea. This would be an example of how an idea fared against, you know, when you associated the proper weights that were important for these different areas. It's going to give you, based on the feedback, it's going to calculate that, and you're going to be able to see where the different constraints are higher, where the different value vectors came in higher in terms of increasing profit, and you can then be able to make a decision, and it will rank all of them very much. So it's just a very heavyweight, much more detailed example of an assessment, but taking into consideration things that are going to be much more of value to you as you move forward. So in addition, we also are bolstering up our challenge capabilities and offerings. And that is also that's something that's pretty exciting that we're looking to be able to offer and have a much more purpose-built tool that is actually going to be, of course, called Challenge Scale. I think you can see the theme here, but it's definitely taking into consideration some of the specific needs that those people who are doing, surefire challenges that have to deal with, some legal issues, things that have to do with, sharing IP, taking a lot of those areas and making it very easy for you to dump in what you're looking for, be able to process those different submissions that are coming in with a lot more ease, and instead of shoehorning a specific product to do it, this is just going to be much more streamlined and easier to set up and administrate down the line. So stay tuned, and it's an exciting year. Send it back to Jessica. Jessica's working on her microphone right now. I think that she's going to be with us briefly. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Audrey. Thanks, Audrey. That was a lot of great work put in by our developers over the course of the past year. Really great survey of some stuff that's to come too. It'd be great if we could get you to answer a few questions that we have here from the folks who have been with you for the past 40 minutes or so. We only have a few minutes to answer questions, so let's just work through them as quickly as possible. The first question is, can tags be updated at any time when it comes to predefined tags?
Absolutely. So that is a list in the back, and where you're able to do that. You can absolutely update those tags at any point in time, and then they would just be added to the pick list for future submissions.
Excellent. Very helpful. Somebody has asked, can you show us what an assessment report looks like on the back end? Once somebody has created an assessment, completed an assessment?
Sure. Here, let me.
It's more not that it's not always lovely to look at the infographic and review scale that we have live here.
What are you seeing? Okay. Oh, I don't want to leave the webinar. Okay, absolutely. So we are looking for an assessment report on the back end. Let's go ahead and get there. Let's go ahead and take an example here. Let's look at the stat and analyze the ideas. So here are some of the statistics that you would be able to see as an example of the results that have been coming so far for a particular assessment. As you can see, there's a rating. It'll bubble up the highest rated one, and it also will give averages of how the questions were answered based on each idea. And then it also gives you a list of which members have been assessed, so that in the event that you might be waiting for a couple key people to weigh in on an assessment before you feel like it's complete, it'll let you know, kind of how many people you're still waiting for, as well as the fact that then you can also remind them, in addition, that hey, we're waiting for your submission here. It also gives you the opportunity to see how each individual answered the question. So as you can see, Tom here and I don't necessarily agree on this particular question. He strongly disagrees, and I think it's great. So that would be an example of kind of where one of your rubs might come in, and that might need a little bit more fleshing out.
Excellent. And the responses on the current assessment tool only allow for 5-star ratings, which is one of the reasons why review scale is great because you get a whole lot more depth in terms of the answers that you can receive. Another question is when can people start to utilize review scale or expect to be able to buy it if they're interested?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, when is that going to be available? That's going to be available. We are actually have a beta that's out right now, and we have some initial kind of technology partners who are going to help us out with uh, getting some of their feedback, and it's going to be ready to roll here pretty soon. We're pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Um, what does it mean on and team submission? What does it mean to be able to join an idea team?
To join an idea team essentially it allows for that's another feature that you can have. So you can have allow contributor, which would basically mean that you have the ability to join, you add your additional kind of authors to the idea. And then there's the opportunity to kind of have a join this team. And essentially what that means is that just allows people to be able to almost volunteer or be able to be part of something. So we've seen customers that have used it for kind of a way to volunteer for a certain thing. It could even be down to, to the point of a charitable event or who wants to come and do this, or who wants to attend this type of a thing. I can click join this team. Let me see if I can give you an example of what that might look like quickly. So if I was submitting a new idea, I believe this one allows, yes, this you can allow others to join a team if I wanted to as a submitter, and I could be saying, hey, who wants, this is for, the food bank, where, Team IdeaScale's going to be donating our time this weekend, and then, and then allow others to join the team. So what would happen is when the actual idea itself is put out, there would be a space that you could click, users could click, say team, and then it essentially will give you a listing. So then it's very obvious. You can, use that as who's interested. Another use case would be if you wanted to have an opportunity to maybe beta test a product. You would be able to say, this is an idea. If we were to do so, who would want to beta, be interested in beta testing this new product? People can then join this team. Then I have a very decided list of individuals who would be like, yeah, I want to get a part of that. This could be used for, if you're using it for a customer interface of a product that you're selling, those types of things. They might be able to sign up there. So it's just a way to kind of take interest.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Audrey, and thank you everybody for joining. We're at the end of our 45 minutes here. I think we hit most of the big questions, but if you have any other follow-up questions that you would like to direct either to myself or to Audrey Zuro, we'd be glad to field them. Just send us an email. And if you miss anything or wanted to share what you learned today, we will be sending out a link to the online video probably in the next 24 hours. So please join us again the next time we have a webinar, and thanks for joining today. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.